Welcome to our channel. Get ready for a collection of incredible stories that will send shivers down your spine. If you love mystery and horror, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel. It really helps us bring you more thrilling content. Now, turn off the lights, get comfortable, and let's dive into the stories. 4 children were hiding in a dark room, soaked with urine and sweat, trembling with fear. There were screams and thumps outside the door, heavy footsteps heading towards the room. A woman's voice begged me to stop, tried to stop someone very angry, and all I got in response was slaps and wild yelling. Either you do as I say, or I will personally mince one of them myself. A quiet cry sounded as a sign of obedience. The door, which served as a shield, opened and the mother of 4 children appeared. Her face was blue from the beatings, and her eyes red from crying. "Forgive me," she whispered, sobbing, "please, forgive me." The mother approached the youngest of the 4 children and gently took his hand. Alyosha, that was the youngest's name, tried to resist. The other children tried to help him, but the mother was stronger. "Mother, take me away then." Katya, the oldest, volunteered. Her voice tried to be confident, but a slight tremor came out. The woman looked at her daughter so pitifully that Katya's heart trembled. The girl bit her lip until it was bloody, lowering her head slightly. "Take me away then," she repeated, stepping forward a little. The mother let go of her youngest son, put an affectionate arm around her daughter's shoulders, and led her out of the room. The door closed, plunging the 3 remaining children back into darkness. "What took you so long?" shouted the father. He tapped his fingers loudly on the table, echoing with the sound of 100 hammers. The woman brought Katya to the formidable, aboriginal-looking husband. He scrutinized his daughter, grinned, cat-like licking. "She would make a great bedmate," the head of the family said in a playful tone. "I'm afraid that with age she will become as ugly as you." "Good choice. Let her beauty remain forever, in me." In one deft move, the man snapped the girl's neck. The fragile body fell to the floor like a rag doll. "Get to it," the head of the family growled, grinning. The woman dragged her daughter's body to the large table, red with blood. The tears had stopped flowing, all of them having been shed during the day. With a trembling hand, she took a butcher knife. Blow after blow, Katya's body was torn apart piece by piece. Wrists, hips, forearms, torso. Everything was then carefully sorted in the refrigerator. What didn't fit went to the cellar. The girl's thighs are quite fleshy, then came out a good mincemeat. Alyona, an unhappy mother, had already sent her 3rd child to slaughter, but once they had been a happy family of many children. There was a good car, well-maintained yard, the house was always clean and guests came. Both parents earned enough, had prestigious positions. A fairy tale, not a life, but it seemed so at first glance. Even then, Matvey, the formidable father, showed his nature of a tyrant, beat the children and his wife, from time to time laid to the bottle, and sometimes walked on the side, but from the outside a good and decent man. They got to such a life quite simply. They were downsized from their positions, they were not hired anywhere, they had to work part-time. The children stopped going to school and kindergarten. Mostly Alyona and the 2 older children, who were 16 years old, had to do small jobs, getting as it were money, sometimes pennies. They spent it instantly on necessities and booze. The younger ones did the housework. Money for food became less and less. Alyona did not have enough strength for small jobs, then Matvey switched to eating his children. Hungry madness seized him. He gathered all his children in the living room, examined each one, groping and smelling. The first time he gathered his middle daughter, Christina. She was quite a big girl, more fleshy, enough fat in her. The pleasant aroma of fried meat intoxicated the children's noses, but they suspected that the father was cooking his own daughter. Christina squeaked briefly when Matvey snapped her neck. Her obese body fell loudly to the floor. No one touched the food then. It was only when hunger struck that everyone began to eat, crying silently. All this time was a living hell. Everyone forgot about the Akralovs' family, they avoided their house, which became a prison for their mother and children. The Akralovs themselves forgot the last time they went out into society. They have become part of the social bottom from which not everyone can find a way out. Dinner is ready, darling. Aliona carefully put the plate on the table, trying not to drop it. Her hands were still trembling, slightly spilling broth on the plate. Moppy sniffed greedily, smacking his lips contentedly. With a quick movement, he took his spoon and began to sip the soup. Aliona was free now. She had gone to the remaining children, she just wanted to be near them while they were still alive. Alyosha immediately ran into his mother with a hug. "Mom, when will all this end?" Quietly the boy squeaked in a squeaky voice. "I don't know, dear, I don't know." Aliona was afraid to say never, and she herself hoped that someday this hell would end. The other two boys looked out of the corner. Their eyes glistened in the darkness with tears, their faces could not be seen because they were too grimy. "Sergey, Katya, don't be afraid. Come out," the mother's affectionate voice soothed the children. Seryoza and Katya also hugged their mother. Aliona stroked the head of each of her children, saying affectionate words. "Oh, good." There was a wild cry of joy from the kitchen. Moppy had already finished his lunch. With a heavy step, he went to the children's room. With a strong kick, he opened the door. His hateful gaze focused on the children and their mother. Moppy smiled broadly, grinning like the devil. "Here it is, a friendly family," he said with a sneer, entering the room. "What's wrong, dear?" excitedly inquired Aliona, clutching the children. "What do you want?" "I want to play with the children. It's been a long time since you've been busy with them." "Don't touch them. They've been through enough." "Tortured? Let them be grateful they're still alive. In fact, I'm saving them." Moppy coughed loudly into his fist. "Come on, children, line up." The children did not obey their father at once, and clung to their mother more tightly. Matvey's eyes became bloodshot and even more angry. He stomped his foot loudly and shouted. "What the fuck did I say? Come on, children, line up, for fuck's sake." The children obediently lined up in height, looking pityingly at their father. Alyosha was sobbing softly, his eyes wet. Seryoza and Katya tried not to show their tears. "So, kids, how about hide and seek?" "Well, do you agree?" The children nodded in agreement. Moppy grinned wryly, examining his children. "Let's go and hide." "I'll be looking for you." The kids ran to hide. Aliona gently touched her husband's shoulder and barely audibly spoke. "Just don't hurt them, please." A sharp blow to the stomach felled the girl to the floor. A few kicks to the chest, and she crumpled in pain, gasping. "I was just playing with the kids." "What the fuck's the big deal?" A few more kicks to the chest and head. Aliona stopped breathing, her face looking like a wrinkled plum. Moppy spat on the girl's forehead. He took her by the wrists and carried her towards the barn. Carelessly threw the corpse of his wife, that the dead head almost split in half when it hit the axe. From the shed the man took a weighty hammer, tested it on Aliona, hitting her spine a couple times. After all, she wouldn't scream now, she couldn't feel anything anymore. Moppy returned to the house, tapping the hammer on the walls. "Who didn't hide? It's not my fault." The loud banging echoed throughout the house, making the children shudder in their hiding places. Moppy sneaked around with careful steps like a cat, peering into every closet and looking under the beds. The children hid well, finding good places, thus prolonging their already short lives. Seryoza was hiding in the pantry, eyes firmly closed. He was practically out of breath, hoping he wouldn't be noticed. His father's heavy footsteps were heard outside, ducking near the pantry door. Go away," the boy whispered pleadingly. The doorknob jerked sharply. The door locked. Moppy began to break it open. He immediately guessed that someone was in there. Seryoza huddled in the corner and cried quietly. "Come out, whoever you are, bitch." Moppy burst into the storeroom with an animal yell. Kicking various junk, he still found his son. A devilish smile appeared on his face. Moppy grabbed the boy firmly by the hair and dragged him behind him with force. He threw him into the wall as if he were a ball, and again took Sergei by his furry head. He beat his face against the wall with lightning-fast blows, then threw him to the floor like a puppy. The boy was surprisingly still alive, despite the fact that his face had turned to mush. Sergei found the last of his strength, struggling to move his arms, trying to get away from his tyrant father. Matvei's smile grew even wider, his cheeks tearing up at this. The hammer was in his hand. Slowly he raised it above him, satisfied with his son's pathetic escape attempt. First he struck one hand, then the other, and so in turn. The toe of the hammer smashed through the top of his head, cracking the boy's skull just so. He penetrated the hole with his fingers and licked it with delight. "Sweet," Moppy said admiringly, rolling his eyes a little. Katya was watching the whole scene. Moppy turned around, breathing languidly, and saw his little daughter. "Hello, sunshine," he threw back the hammer and stretched out his hands to meet the girl. Katya looked at her father's bloody face with horror, her face contorted in hysterics. "Hush, hush," Moppy said affectionately, and then he came up to his daughter, hugging her tightly and stroking her hair affectionately. The girl sobbed even louder, feeling the unpleasant coolness of her father's hand. Moppy quietly hummed a children's song. Katya gradually calmed down. As soon as she stopped crying, Moppy flawlessly rolled the girl's neck. In him suddenly appeared inhuman strength, gracefully ripped the head off his shoulders. He ran his tongue over the tear. "Even sweeter," he said blissfully in an elevated tone. Alyosha heard everything that happened near the pantry. He was very near, in the kitchen, ran out of his hiding place to find the rest of the guys, but it was too late. While the door was open, little Alexei wanted to gather his little brother and sister, to run away with them. Now he'll have to run alone. No time to waste, quickly rushed to the door, and gave himself away. Moppy followed his last child, holding the hammer tightly in the palm of his hand. The boy was not yet old enough to reach the latch, and he tried to jump up and down, screaming at the top of his voice to be rescued. Moppy came closer and closer, swinging the hammer. Very soon Alyosha would join his mother and his brothers and sisters. Whether it was a miracle or the boy also found unexpectedly inhuman strength, he reached the latch and opened the door. He ran out into the street, waving his arms, hitting every passerby. Moppy appeared, looking more like Satan himself than a man. People noticed his unkempt appearance and bloody hammer. The healthier men jumped on him, while the two women hid the boy behind them. At last. Salvation. Everything in the Akerlov family seemed like a terrible dream. Kind uncles and aunts helped him find a new family. The boy had no other relatives. Everything would have been fine, until the father of the new family took the boy into his bedroom. And that was just one chilling tale, but we're not done yet. Get ready, because the next story might be even more terrifying. To begin with, Zimi Evans is an ordinary girl. She was a happy child, she had parents and a black friend named Jane Miller. Zimi and Jane were never separated. Zimi was the best in the whole school, because she studied very well. The girl's teacher set an example for the other students. The girl was always depressed, because of school, but Zimi did not want to be inferior to others. She would do a lot to get into the most expensive and strictest college in all of America. This beautiful girl dreamed of becoming a surgeon in the future, but to do that, she needed to study hard. A child's first priority should always be learning, not nonsense. One day Zimi overheard a conversation in the school hallway about some Jeff the Killer. From that moment on, everything went downhill. Zimi began to learn more and more about Jeff on the internet, until the girl became fixated on him alone. Jeff was a character in scary stories and computer games, but Zimi thought this maniac was real by nature. Zimi had a hard life. The girl began to partially see herself in the mirror looking like Jeff. Thanks to him, Zimi had been having unexplainable feelings lately, similar to all the different feelings. One morning Zimi decided to treat herself to selfies, but her phone recognized another face next to Zimi, but there was no one there. The girl thought it was just a technical error. Zimi ran out of the bedroom. It was unclear why, either she was just scared of this moment or something else unclear happened in her head. Imagination, maybe? 13-year-olds can make up a lot of things. The next morning, Zimi turned 14. Jane Miller invited her to celebrate her birthday at the disco, promising her parents wouldn't be there. Zimi was thrilled, nothing could spoil this beautiful morning. In the evening, she remembered Jeff and decided to dress like him for the disco, but she didn't have a white hooded sweatshirt. She had to wear a pink hoodie. After all, she was going to the disco, not for a walk. Zimi was wearing a fashionable black miniskirt, black silk stockings, and black sneakers. All the way Zimi felt eyes on her, and the strange sensation reappeared. Then a man with a knife jumped out of nowhere. The girl didn't see him since it was dark outside, she still had to save her skin. Zimi somehow managed to deal with the inadequate man. She miraculously took the knife away from him and ineptly slit his throat. She thought she was just going to scare him, but things didn't go according to plan. The girl was in shock and didn't know what to do about it. All she could think of was to run home and hide the bloody clothes and knife in her briefcase, and she tricked Jane into talking on the phone, claiming she had a headache. The girl said nothing to Mima, and the mother never bothered her daughter. Jane decided to visit her friend and support her. Apparently, Zimi didn't need it. She was scary looking or still in shock, sitting in the room wide-eyed and slightly wobbling like a psychopath. The girl didn't get into Jane's questions as she wanted to be all alone at that moment. Zimi asked her to leave a couple times but she didn't listen. Zimi became enraged and pushed Jane to the corner of the table in the room. This resulted in death. Jane died. The girl didn't bother with the already dead corpse, she just dragged it under the bed, after which she opened the window to avoid the corpse odor. Zimi tried to close the door of the room more often. She was so afraid of problems with her dead friend, for her corpse could not be carried out alone. In the morning, rumors began to spread that Jane was not answering her phone and her mother Rose was very worried. Jane's mom didn't sit idly by, she even asked Zimi's mom about Jane. The girl became even more worried. This is the second murder on the account, and something must surely be done about it. In the evening, Zimi decided to talk about Jeff with her mother, but the latter did not take it seriously, as the conversation with her daughter was unpleasant. The woman didn't like horror movie characters. Who would have thought that a 14-year-old girl would become a psychomaniac? Late at night, the girl dressed in an outfit in which she usually went to disco, but in this outfit she wanted to stay forever, because it was covered in blood. The pink bloodstained sweatshirt was gorgeous. The inexplicable feeling was getting stronger and stronger. The girl unknowingly discolored her face several times with cucumber juice, cosmetic cloth masks, ripped her mouth from ear to ear with a knife, cut out an eyelid to make her eyes seem bigger. It was like a nightmare. No. It was like hypnosis. She didn't care about anything at all. Zimi even dyed her beautiful long hair black. And the worst part was that the girl didn't even flinch, killing her parents by stabbing them in the chest with a sharp knife while they were sleepy. Before they died, they heard only one phrase, "Go to sleep." Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe to the channel. Until next time.